Hello and welcome to the exciting world of ELA standards. We're going to be looking at these standards here. You can see it. Standard 1 says demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English grammar and usage when writing or speaking. Consider complex and contested matters of usage and convention. What does that mean? I'm going to show you in just a moment. Standard 2. Demonstrate the command of the conventions of standard English, capitalization, punctuation, spelling when writing. Let me show you. For standards 1 and 2, these are the content areas you will be studying. Adjective, adverbs, capital letters, how to use a hyphen. A lot of these are also on the ACT. I've aligned the ELA ACT standards so that everything is covered. Parallel structure, phrases and clauses, pronouns, punctuation, spelling, subject-verb agreement is the big one on the ACT. Verb tense and voice. Voice is basically using active and passive verbs. I'll explain that later. Standard 3. Apply knowledge of language to understand how language functions in different contexts. Meaning or style, the key words here. Number 4 looks pretty big, but use context clues. Common, grade appropriate morphological elements as clues. And let me translate that. You read something, you figure out what it means. Context clues, using multiple meaning words and looking at references. This helps when it comes time for writing. Standard 5. Demonstrate understanding of figurative language, word relationships, and nuances in word meanings in grade 11 through 12. Standard 6. Acquire and accurately use general academic and domain-specific words and phrases sufficient for reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Use smart words. Use big words. Don't, since you're a junior in high school, don't write sentences that say see, spot, run. Connotation and denotation and figures of speech. Now, typically on the ELC, you're not tested a lot over figures of speech, other than like as far as like listing them, but you're supposed to be able to use them in the context of the reading and even the writing. Connotation and denotation, how a word makes you feel, and the actual definition of the word. Reading. Literature and informational text are both basically about the same. You can pause this video to read this if you wish. Okay, moving on. Text evidence and you infer. Let me explain to you what all that means. It simply means you read something and you understand it. Don't just skim through it trying to answer questions. Now for the ACT, it tells you, the state people tell us to read the first 2 sentences of each paragraph and the last sentence of each paragraph to find the answer. But if you're in ELA and you're trying to focus on your comprehension, you really need to read everything and see the hints that are there. If you infer something, you're making your best educated guess. Standard 2. Determine multiple themes or central ideas of a text. Critical summary is the key word there. Reading and figuring out what you've just read, folks. Standard 3. Analyze how an author's choice regarding the development and interaction of characters, events, and ideas impact the meaning. These are the questions that you will see all the time on the ACT and the ELC. What was the author's purpose of doing this? That's where you have to actually think and focus on the context clues provided to you. Number 4 looks big. Determine the meaning of words and phrases. Figurative, connotative, and technical meanings. Technical meanings, that's we have a little bit of work over that. Again, it comes down to understanding what you're reading. So I'm going to please pause this if you need to read all of this. Okay, moving on. Number 5. Analyze how an author's choice concerning the structure of specific parts of a text contribute to its overall structure, meaning, and the nice little A word here, aesthetic impact. That means how, oh, that's written very eloquently, that kind of thing. You want to be sure what you're reading, it's clear. Again, it goes back to the same thing. You read and you understand what you're reading. All of this means that. Number 6, analyze how a point of view or a purpose requires distinguishing what is directly stated and what is implied. Know what they are saying by the written word and be able to figure out what they're saying only by not really saying it. The clues. Point of view and text structure. We have all kinds of work over that for EOC and the ACT. Number 7, evaluate the topic, subject, or theme in multiple diverse formats and media. Evaluate how an author incorporates evidence and reasoning to support the claim. That is pretty straightforward. So-and-so said this, and they used this evidence to prove it. Number 9, analyze and evaluate a variety of thematically related text. You're going to read things from history, from science, from literature, nonfiction, fiction. You're going to read everything. And again, what do? We read it and we comprehend what we have read. Number 10, read and comprehend a variety of literature. Like I just said, standard 10 is you're going to read a bunch of stuff, understand it. Writing. A lot of standards here. I'm not going to speak over those. Basically, here's how you write well for the EOC and for me for junior English, and then on to research papers in college. Number 1, indent. Don't use you. Use the word one. Don't use contractions. There's a whole separate video over how to do all of this. But those 3 things, indent, don't use you, use the word one, and don't use contractions, are basically, in my opinion, the core to writing well. Pause the video if you want to read all this.